Well, welcome everyone. We are so excited and happy you are here. Happy Halloween. I'm Jan Jeremias, and I've spent over 35 years involved in health in one way or another. And for the past 20 years, I've blended my clinical research roots with a love for holistic wellness. I support both people and their pets in living longer, fuller lives. I find joy in helping others see the whole picture of their well-being, physically, mentally, and emotionally, and turning that into a simple, meaningful blueprint for health. I'm deeply moved by creativity and by connection, and I'm so grateful to share this path with my dear friend and collaborator, Mary Jane McQueen. And together we believe that bringing kindness into the world is truly important and the only way the world will change. And so, one creative project, one breath, and one conversation at a time, that is our mission. So, a heartfelt thank you to Mary Jane, to you, Mary Jane, and to a big thank you to all of you for showing up and for being here each week and for supporting us and being a part of our community. This community really does happen because of all of you. And so, Mary Jane, I'll pass it to you.
Thank you, Jan. Yes, and happy Samhain. Um, Welcome to this space today. Yes, I am Mary Jane. And as most of you know by now, but I will share again that I have my own creative studio where I love to support my fellow entrepreneurs to really step into the light, find their voice, and help them co-create a beautiful visual for their mission and vision. And, I really believe that when we're connected to who we are, that's when we will really shine brightly and people will find us for connection. And as Jan mentioned, it really is a beautiful community. And I'm so honored to be here with all of you each week and really love collaborating with Jan. It's such a heartfelt space that we're co-creating together and with all of you, our beautiful community. So thank you for being here and being part of Spirit Born Imaginings. You are indeed a blessing to us both. So let me just get prepared for a moment. So today, in honor of Samhain or Halloween or All Hallows Eve, whatever you prefer to call it, it's all good. But we're looking at the idea of Samhain, particularly because it's a nod to the ancestors. So I don't know if any of you have something nearby or choose to, but I am going to be lighting my mother's memorial candle um, in honor of her. So we're going to set the intention for today. So just bear with me for a moment. And just a little blessing to go with the lighting of the candle. It's a Samhain prayer to ancestors. This is the night when the gateway between our world and the spirit world is thinnest. Tonight is a night to call out those who came before. Tonight I honor my ancestors, spirits of my fathers and mothers. I call to you and welcome you to join me for this night. You watch over me always, protecting and guiding me. And tonight I thank you. Your blood runs in my veins. Your spirit is in my heart. Your memories are in my soul. With the gift of remembrance, I welcome all of you. You are dead but never forgotten, and you live on within me and within those who are yet to come.
Thank you so much, Mary Jane, for sharing that blessing. And yes, that candle, that memorial candle for your mom, but I think each one of us maybe brought to mind a person who we hold, an ancestor who we hold dear to us. So welcome everyone. We are so glad you're here. We welcome you to Through the Veil, honoring the unseen, a sacred space to pause, reflect, to connect with the wisdom that lies beyond what we can see. The season invites us to honor the turning of the year when the light softens, nature releases what is no longer needed, and the veil between the seen and unseen grows thin. It is a time long celebrated as one of remembrance and renewal, when we honor our ancestors, the keepers of our stories and the roots of our being. Our ancestors, by blood, by spirit, by influence, walk beside us in unseen ways. They live in our breath, our resilience, and the lessons passed quietly from generation to generation. And today we call them forward, not to dwell in the past, but to invite their wisdom into our present, to guide our healing, soften our ears, and remind us that we are never alone on our path. So together we will explore themes of transformation and release, acknowledging that just as nature lets go, so too can we shed what no longer serves and open to renewal. This is a space to honor what has ended, to embrace what is emerging, and to remember that the line between life and spirit is not a wall, but a bridge of love. As we move through this time, know that you are held in a space of warmth, safety, and belonging. Whether you come seeking connection, comfort, or simple stillness, you are part of a living lineage, one that stretches behind you and before you. Take a moment now to feel the earth beneath you, the breath within you, and the presence of those who walked before you. Allow yourself to cross gently through the veil, to the honor the unseen, and to listen for the quiet wisdom waiting to be heard. Welcome, we honor you, and we honor those who came before you.
Such a beautiful way of calling into presence our ancestors, because we really true are living, breathing a proof of their existence. Because without them, we wouldn't be here, of course. So what a better
Absolutely.
time to acknowledge their insights um, as we move through life, and maybe perhaps give a little bit of healing to their spirits, their souls, for things that may have been left undone or unsaid. So it's just a beautiful way to acknowledge that.
Absolutely. And the more we planned and we thought about this, um, the more I started to think about like the parts of my ancestors that may not have been healed that I have taken on, you know, the traits they had that, challenging, the characteristics or the way they were in the world for whatever reason. Like the reason, even in a way, is important, but was not important. It's important so that to me, it's always been important because then there's an understanding. Then there's an understanding for why they were as they were. Not that I needed to attach, but it gave a context.
Yes.
And so then I could then kind of sit with that and either morph it in some way or acknowledge that whatever that story was or whatever that wasn't happening exactly right now, and then could move on to heal. Because if we heal, then we don't pass it along, like in that beautiful prayer that you shared in the beginning, to future generations.
Yes.
I sometimes want to know who didn't deal with all this that I'm dealing with now, to be honest. I'm like, who didn't take care of this? Because this is a lot
Yes.
of work. This is a lot of work. But it's so valuable to sit there and think about because I really feel like otherwise it just goes on and on and on.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so true. And I sometimes have when things may be happening around me and I'm thinking, all right, who's responsible for this one?
Yes, exactly. I use sometimes not very kind language. I'm like, who didn't deal with this? Shh,
Yeah.
please share it with me because I want to know.
Yes, it's so true. And I really loved, when I mean, I knew a bit about Samhain anyways, and I really connected a lot with the meaning behind why these traditions sort of were practiced, and it's such a beautiful thing because I mean like we were speaking to is that this is a time of year. This is actually the beginning of the Celtic year, so coming up tomorrow. And so it was an interesting reading up and doing some research, more research on it, although I knew some things as to why it was more, it wasn't about, I mean, it's not it wasn't commercialized like it is in North America for sure. But definitely, and it's definitely wasn't focused specifically on fright. It was more about acknowledging your ancestors and this was the time that the connection was felt to be a lot closer um, with the change of the year and the season. So it was just very fascinating time for sure.
Absolutely. And also this whole idea of darkness and light, the fact that here we are in the Northern Hemisphere, coming upon what is the darkest time of year, a
Hmm.
time of um, reflection and introspection, and the fact that it was in the darkness and the shadows where, these kinds of sort of like thoughts and everything would tend to be more prominent or apparent. It was a time when you kind of went inside where things got cold or things got cooler, and then all of a sudden you were um, thinking about these things. It was like, and you weren't out in the hustle bustle of whatever the life was at that time or is now. And so it was this opportunity to kind of say, okay, well, this is the real shift in the seasons. And you could feel it, like you could feel that movement of like, oh my gosh, like I feel it. Oh, this is getting to, I mean, especially now because tonight, for those of us who are on Eastern Daylight Time, will now switch clocks tonight. So all of a sudden, there's, you know, it's not tonight, tomorrow night. There's, it's going to get dark even earlier. So I think this, like the whole, kind of like you said, the harvest is ending. It's a movement into introspection and reflection and quiet. It's a time to contemplate. And so it was really a transition into a new year for many, the movement of dark, light into darkness or ending as endings move into beginnings.
Yes, absolutely. And it's interesting because around the world and where at some point there was no contact with other cultures, there's many cultures that bring um, this honoring of the dead and the spirit and the loved one, the ancestors into their into their practice at this time of year. Of course, we know depending on faith belief. I mean, it's All Saints or All Souls Day, and then tomorrow, and then it's also um, I can't remember for some reason the Mexican. I know it's Day of the Dead, but I can't remember what the Spanish is for at the moment.
And Dios de los Muertos
Thank you,
is the
Mike.
way that is said. And it's something that I'm just reflecting and celebrating what both of you are saying, young ladies. And that's most importantly, it's when things get dark and cold outside, people are gonna, well, we go within a home. And I believe that is the most sacred place. It's home.
Mm.
and I celebrate what you're saying. It's like, hey, it's time to come home, and I mean that in terms of not only a safe place, but more importantly, it's those that we see and those that we can't.
Hmm.
We celebrate.
I love that.
Absolutely. And so do I. And I agree with you, Mike. That's a really beautiful way to put it is we do come home, and if we think about those ancestors, I mean, I think about, my faith and all the traditions around, this whole idea of coming home and being together and we all, and I mean, I can think of in almost every Jewish holiday, there is a point within that celebration where you actually acknowledge someone who has passed
Hmm.
always. And I think we all feel it. Like, as you come upon, I was talking about this with someone the other day. So when you come upon the holidays, we always reflect on the people that we used to spend our childhood holidays with, or stories we heard about our ancestors and what they did for the holiday, or recipes that are passed down, or whatever. And it builds and builds and builds, but they're very much a part of us and a part of our existence, and who we are. And I always think I do agree with you, Mary Jane, and thank you for bringing it up. The fact that in every sort of culture, no matter where people were in the world, there was this acknowledgement, and there were prayers said for the dead, and there were symbols that were put out, or candles, like in every culture,
Hmm.
as a symbol of their light. So,
Absolutely. And I love how with a lot of the celebrations, I mean, even in Samhain, that they really did the same thing where they put out um foods and things that their loved ones enjoyed during their living time, of course. So it's kind of an interesting how across many cultures this honoring which is well deserved of ancestors, um, has really become part of the whole culture, their way of being. So it's lovely.
I
absolutely. Yeah, go ahead, Mike, please.
No, Jen, after you, please.
Oh, no, I was just going to kind of switch. And it's kind of interesting to me that part of the commercialization, or the sort of like the shift of focus away from, let's say, the more traditional aspects of Samhain, um, or, the way we celebrate Halloween, was also, I think, our society's inability to address death and acknowledge the ending of things. And so there was this feeling that if we sort of commercialized it and we made it a little bit lighter, people would have to like kind of talk about death, where it's a topic that's completely avoided, even though it's something that will happen to everybody. And so, it's either we're all going to experience, but also we're around it all, more often than we'd like to ever acknowledge. And so it was an opportunity to kind of bring it into more like mainstream, kind of like, okay, well, if we are going to avoid it, we'll kind of bring it in kind of a humorous way to get people used to the idea, to to alleviate some of that fear around it. So it's really interesting to think about that. I think that was part of the commercialization
Hmm.
of Halloween, sort of stemmed from that, like really came from that kind of context or origin.
Right. And of course there's the making, as I like to say, the making more vanilla of things that aren't necessarily the most palatable or considered the the thing to do kind of thing. It's kind of interesting. But I love when we were researching, Jen, how we were talking about how as you were just mentioning too, that about that it that really it's an amazing celebration, really, just to because only when we are, you know, begin to feel or honor that you honor the fear, the grief or loss, and just honoring our ancestors and those things as teachers rather than burdens. That's where the real transformation begins. but
Uh,
we have to get there.
You
that's
know,
right.
you're saying this, MJ, and I really want to celebrate what both of you are talking about. And you're right in terms of, Halloween is a commercial event. Um, Unfortunately, that's what we see today. And I step back because I can share, and this isn't easy, but very exceptionally violent places I've been, and I can't keep a person breathing, but I can be with them. And more importantly, seeing the fear that they have, knowing that they're crossing the veil, saying, "Hey, you're gonna be all right. I'm right here." And there's a dishonor in terms of lying to somebody's face, but I put the other side of the coin on, and that's knowing they're not going to die alone. That's all.
Thank you for sharing that, Mike. Really so beautiful and so true. No matter, to me, no matter the being, like, I mean, I look at, when I was present, and, going back and forth with Mike all week. He's been so kind to check in with me and Tonka and being there for multiple pets passings, with this feeling of like, oh my gosh, I don't like, I would not, you know, they can't be alone. I've got to be there, for myself and also for them. I mean, they give so unconditionally and so lovingly that, to me, you know, my last, two of my cats ago, I actually had the vet come to the house to euthanize him because to me, I didn't want him being in a strange vet hospital that was like sterile. It just seemed so stark to me. And so in like not that home where you were talking about, we go home. Like I thought, well, it's like our dream of passing is like everybody, what does everybody said? I really want to die at home. We all, I mean, so many, I think we'd all opt for that as opposed to dying in a hospital somewhere. We're dying somewhere else. So beautiful, Mike. Mary Jane, did you want to share anything before we invite Austin up?
No, I just wanted to thank Mike for sharing vulnerably about um, situations because I know that there's been some recent events in his as well that are very very close to home right now, for sure. And you know, just thank you for sharing your thoughts and your wisdom with us, and it's I just wanted to honor that. So thank you.
Absolutely. Austin?
Also close to the heart. If if I were to choose two significant days in October, it's today and um, my birthday, and I see harmony in moments where I can recognize the synchronicity between both days. On my birthday, I also chose to euthanize a companion of my own, and amongst the heaviness, there was a lot of beauty as well. And so, what I hear in, or what I am receiving in this presence we're all joined today is that in any moment, truly, we can celebrate remembrance of life, whether it's our own or somebody else, or our relation to that life. And I'm complete. Thank you.
I absolutely love that, Austin, that in any moment, because I think it took me a long time to realize that you could hold those two emotions at once. That, in moments of sorrow, there can be joy, even around the same thing, you know, how that, when my dad passed, memories of him were what kept me going. Certain stories that made me laugh. I mean, just thinking of him and thinking of those stories and everything. And yet there was also, right, like with that, the sorrow that and the deep sadness that he was no longer here physically. And, there is something so amazing to know that. I think that, that can happen and that will happen. Because I think that, that's one of the reasons we deny death is because we look at it as being all sad and all like, you know, I I think about my great nephew who was 10 and came to pay Shiva. Shiva's the 7 days after someone passes in Judaism, and we all sit together and sort of are together, the immediate family, and people come to visit. And this was his first time ever experiencing that. And I remember him coming in kind of really, he was scared. You could tell he was frightened. He didn't know what to expect. A lot of people here all wearing black, basically. And, you know, what do you're 10 years old. What do you think what it's going to be like? And I remember we were telling stories of my father and we were laughing. And I think that he realized, like in that moment, I mean, I always thought to myself, like, what a gift to realize that yes, it is sad, but there is such great beauty in it all.
Yeah.
Jen, I take to heart what you're saying, and it is a beautiful thing to be able to bring someone that is young and hasn't encountered that, and to be able to find a very healing way of expressing it. Um, I'm going to flip the coin, and that's where I know I become very angry when it comes to those I couldn't save. And it's not that, I'm angry on the outside. It's just, it's what you turn inwards. And I, I took a brother home. The ring that he was going to propose to his girlfriend with was in my pocket. It was the first slow salute. And it's understanding that, there is a veil, but it's bidirectional. And that's the important thing is you don't stamp it out. You you let it flow.
So beautiful, Mike. There is a flow, and that flow and that connection is love. I mean, as we see all the hearts come up on this, what you just shared, I mean, that's really the flow. Um,
Right.
Absolutely. Those shared memories. Oh,
yeah, he is full of love.
he is, and he is indeed.
Indeed. Absolutely.
So, do you think this is a good time to ask
Sh-
Mike if he wants to share a little bit more?
Yeah, sure. I think it's great.
Are you ready, Mike? Is that good for you?
Yeah. Let's do this.
All
So,
right.
Okay.
The ability
um,
is yours.
right. Yeah. No pressure at all. And,
No.
you know, you know, here's the song. And for those of you that don't know me, you're not hurting my feelings if you don't like my music. You're not hurting my feelings at all. I find myself much better at communicating through music than I would through words. So, okay, I'm on stereo here. Sorry, I'm doing my Zoom thing here. Okay. Um, so you need to give me an audible if you can hear this. I'm going to start it now. Okay.
Yep,
We're
good.
good.
Long shadows stitch the street tonight. Cool air humming under porch like glue. Sun pulls the covers to its chin, tucks the weary light in low. Cedar breath and chimney smoke. Crickets hold their tiny notes. Every heartbeat standing still. Listen at the windowsill. I feel a flutter in the quiet cold. A page turning where the night unfolds. On Hallows Eve, when the veil turns thin, I hear your voice like a violin. No chains, no fear, just the softest glow. You cross that line to say hello. Love doesn't end, it only grows through fallen leaves and whispered oaths. On Hallows Eve, I feel you close. Your love transcends the dark we know. Street lamps blink like watchful eyes. Old gates breathe and gently sway. Moonlight lays a silver thread between the here and far away. Names I keep like treasured cold, glow warm inside this winter soul. Footsteps brushing past my sleeve, just enough to make me believe. A hush of wings in the amber air. I turn and swear that you are there. On Hallows Eve, when the veil turns thin, I hear your voice like a violin. No chains, no fear, just the softest glow. You cross that line to say hello. Love doesn't end, it only grows through fallen leaves and whispered oaths. On Hallows Eve, I feel you close. Your love transcends the dark we know. If sorrow is a restless sea, then love's the star that pilots me. And death's a door that won't stay closed. It opens where the candle blows. I trace your laughter in the cold, a story told and retold. Tonight the dark is not a thief, it cradles all our trembling grief. Hello, hello. You're the ember in the snow. In the hush, I feel you glow. On Hallows Eve, when the veil turns thin, I hear your voice and let you in. No chains, no fear, just the softest glow. You cross that line to say hello. Love doesn't end, it only grows through fallen leaves and whispered oaths. On Hallows Eve, I know your love transcends the dark below. So walk beside me, candle slow, until the midnight rose is close. On Hallows Eve, I'm not alone. Your love still finds its way back home.
Thanks for letting me share.
As always, beautiful. Mike, thank you for being willing to share that. And I know we were on a call recently, and when you said you were writing something, I thought, wow, that's interesting because Jan and I were in the planning stages for today, and it was like, okay, well, synchronicity.
It's something when you shared that, you were focusing on this topic and I laugh at myself because I, I definitely am attracted to the thinning of the veil. And that's where it's like, okay, well, thank you so much for letting me put music to this.
Thank you, Mike. So beautiful. And yeah, it was amazing when Mary Jane shared with me that you two had been on. And it was, we had just gotten off. It was like a day later. And we were like, okay. I guess the topic we chose, or actually Mary Jane chose the topic for this week. Um, I really, didn't really understand a lot of the traditions behind Halloween. And so, or so in. And so I was really, but I was game. I was like, okay. But, the more you learn, the more you treasure. Um,
And
and
walking
it's,
in with innocence. Yeah.
and there's this feeling of like really looking at, seeing the commonalities between everyone. Even something that's unfamiliar, maybe you take on something that resonates and you make it your own. And then it's a different time and a different opportunity for you to honor, you know, the whole cycle.
You're so right by that, Jan. I know from what I did in service, from wearing a uniform, um, you have boots on the outside that face out. That's very important. And that's a way that we remember. When we come back and there's an empty chair and a drink that's poured that is not going to be consumed. It's something that there is profound loss. And at the same time, you need to grow up and celebrate that person.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, and that's where the memories and what we're talking about today, and maybe the people we bring to mind, that's where they are celebrated. Either whether we share them verbally or we just keep them to ourselves. It's in those opportunities that all of a sudden, we honor them and we move forward, but they are never truly far away.
They're not, I consider that, well, the way that I embrace it is shadow because we always have one, but
Mm,
that's those we love.
beautiful. And it's true. You know, we always have a shadow. And, no matter where we are, no matter what time of day, whether it be from if we look at like light, whether it be from the sun or the moon, we have a shadow.
That's it.
And the only time when I feel like now where that shadow is almost like, when there is such where the veil is so thin, darkness and light, it almost reminds me of that. I wrote about fog, which I think I shared with you, Mike, is that fog has that same feeling to me.
Hmm.
There's no, like,
Right,
not much difference. Like, the air can even feel different. There's not much different between the physical world and the spiritual world.
right. I know Al has his hand up, so
Yeah.
I'll step back.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mike. Al, please.
Comes to district, the word view. View is something so powerful. Like the acronym for it, view will be very enlightening, illuminating light. So this will is like the uses of the repetition of the synonym to emphasize the powerful impact of a source of profound knowledge, understanding, or spiritual insight. So when you have these two double synchronyms of enlightening and illuminating, it's like coming from the dusk to dawn, when the light brightens up in the context of a small light from a home or even from the sun, when the sunrise comes up. And it's so powerful that it's like it brings the spiritual insight on our daily whatever we are doing. every day, the self-realization, and also the connection with a higher truth or the consciousness. So basically, this is very. It comes in timely in this time of the year where, as you have shared, Jane, is so powerful that like for us in the Chinese ancestors, we pray. We have our prayers in the month of April, early the first week of April, where all the ancestors we go to the graveyards or even the shrines or the temples, where we have our parents' ashes and all that. So we just yeah once a year, we normally we go there and pray to our ancestors, our parents, our great grandfathers and great grandmothers and all that. So similarly with the Halloween, when there's a change, we are illuminating from ourselves, to enhance the whatever spiritual world over there, to come out and also to pray upon us where we are living, to give us the wisdom and knowledge. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you, Al. And I love one of the things that just the last thing you shared, this idea of being grateful, of like, whatever whatever is past, whether it be, those stories and those beautiful characteristics that they passed, or whether even the negative things which allow us to then work through them or to, but whatever the lesson is then gratitude for that lesson and gratitude to the ancestor that actually had the ability to sort of reveal to you the light. And I think it's so interesting that in this time of year, which for us is now moving into the very darkest time of year, what did they do? They lit bonfires, like very large sources of light, um, which were kind of used to illuminate and to bring or to actually, it was like almost like to call in those spirits, to be able to see them. So there was this, and whether you participate in a bonfire or you light a candle or candles, there was this ability to bring in that light and that source of light, which was that person. Thank you for sharing the acronym in the chat, Al.
Jan, what you talk about, and this is something that we have within military. Now, full disclosure, I I hung up my uniform years ago. Okay. But there's something that we hold. It's called Firewatch. And what people miss, it's not that you're trying to prevent something from burning down. You are standing vigilance upon a much greater area. And that's where Firewatch comes from. It's if you need to notify others. That's what we do. Al, what you talked about, I know it's once a year where you can pay respect to your ancestors, but I'll tell you, it's Firewatch, and I celebrate that.
Fire as signal has been used, biblical times it was used to, give messages to mark different times. The change of a new month was actually marked by a fire on a mountain. So they knew that, they were moving into a different time. So it was this ability, whether it be a messenger to people or a messenger to spirit calling them in. It was used as a sign. And there's something also very sacred about fire, its ability to transform as this period is transformative. Fire has an ability, what, to make wood into ash, to make something melt. So it is very transformational.
Such beautiful reflections, because fire in and of itself is mesmerizing. And I know, for instance, when in the summertime, when often I go to camp or there's often the fire, and it's such a reflective time. I think of so many beautiful experiences, and that's really what it's about too. Just as reflecting back to what we were speaking to before, as far as, I mean, that was one of the things that when my father-in-law passed, and he he was very insistent, as it leading up to the day that, you know, um, for his funeral, for his eulogy, for his remembrance, he didn't want us to be filled with tears. He wanted us to be filled with laughter. And so, what a beautiful acknowledgement to that spirit, to that vibrance of life, to be able to share that. And as per his request, we shared his stories and his really bad dad jokes and all sorts of
Nice.
wonderful reflections, um, that really spoke to the man, because um, that was our way of honoring him and honoring his request. And so, you know, as Jan was alluding to before, there's often a very thin line between the laughter and the tears, because sometimes the laughter brought the tears and vice versa. But that was the core of our remembrance, and that was just, that was our way of honoring him. So thank you for letting me share that.
Thank
Yeah.
you, Mary Jane. I think that's, so beautiful, and it's so true that we do that. We share those stories, those funny stories. And then, I mean, I know in Judaism, like a lot of the prayers you are saying are really to lift their spirit. They're sort of different realms of heaven, according to Judaism, like different levels. And when you pray on behalf of someone or for the spirit of someone, their spirit is elevated. It goes to a higher level. And so that is part of the reason
Right.
people pray, is that, and it really is about, I don't know, to me, I've always looked at it as not in a negative way, but those prayers are to help them come to peace for things that they maybe did not have the ability to resolve. For whatever reason, they weren't able, they didn't have time, or whatever, or their time was what was as it should be, and they left when it was their time. But that doesn't mean that you can't somehow contribute on their behalf and bring them some sort of element, maybe of a deeper peace. Not sure that makes sense, but it
It
sounded
does.
it sounded good
It
when I
does.
said
Yeah.
it.
Yes. When you gotta go is what I share with my team before I'd go out in an environment with 1 million plus landmines on the ground in Bosnia. And it's one of those things that you have to understand. If you try to be too careful, you're gonna get blown up. So that's where you need to have a certain amount of perspective. Um, if it's okay, I'd love to be able to share one other song, but
Um,
if it's not
no,
right,
it's
then okay.
no, it's fine with me. And then maybe we can move into the meditation.
Yeah. The song is Supper's Ready, and from second generation American. I my grandparents came from the old world, okay, Hungary. And there's a sacredness within sharing food, and I also consider it a place of welcome home. And I believe when the veil is thin, that is exactly what we do. Give me an audible if you can hear this. I'm gonna light it up.
Perfect.
We gather where the daylight fades, soft clatter of plates and gentle voices stir the quiet like a hymn. just the food we share. It is the pause, the breathing out, the circle drawn around our weariness. Here, hands pass more than bread. They pass stories half finished, laughter rescued from long days, and silence that doesn't feel alone. A chair pulled out means you belong, even if your heart arrives late. Steam rises from bowls like prayer, seasoned with memory, someone's grandmother's way of stirring love into a pot that never runs empty. We do not measure by portions, but by presence. At this humble hour, no one must be whole to be welcomed. The tired, the joyful, the grieving, the shy, all find their place without asking. Supper forgives the day and invites the night in gently. For here under this soft light, every face is known, every voice is heard, and every heart, hungry or full, is fed by more than food.
Beautiful, Mike. Thank you.
Thanks for letting me share.
Mary Jane, do you want to share anything, or should we just move into the meditation?
Yeah, thank you for sharing that, Mike. I really love that. It's like I was thinking about the table and inviting, it just it's like, okay, today my intention is to invite my ancestors and my loved ones, both those that have passed and those that are around, still, to gather with me, if only in spirit. So thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So begin by gently closing your eyes or softening your gaze and bring your awareness to your heart. Take a moment to notice how your body feels, the seat beneath you, the breath flowing in and out. Let us arrive in this moment together, acknowledging that we gather in a season when the veil between the seen and unseen softens, inviting us into remembrance, release, and renewal. Place your hands where you feel guided, perhaps one hand on your heart, one resting on your lap or on your knee. Feel the support of the earth beneath you. With each inhale, imagine the grounding energy of the earth rising up into you. With each exhale, imagine releasing anything heavy or unseen into that support. So we will just begin by doing a simple alternate nostril breathing. If you want to do it the more traditional way and you know the hand placement, feel free. But if not, what I'd like you to do is just breathe in and out through your nose a few times. And then just after a few cycles, just bring your attention maybe to your left nostril and just envision that you are breathing in through that nostril and breathing out through the right. And then switch and breathe in through the right, just with your attention. And breathe out through the left. Repeat, breathe in through the left. Breathe out through the right. Breathe in through the right. Breathe out through the left. Just to calm the nervous system. Help calm the mind, center the body. Your awareness begins to soften a little bit. Your mind softens. When you feel settled, bring to mind the lineage of your being, the ancestors, the unseen line of life. And memory that flows into you. Visualize perhaps a parent, a grandparent, a friend, someone whose presence shaped your story. See them standing before you with compassion. With each inhale, draw in the white light of their wisdom. Breathe in slowly, allowing their energy to enter your awareness. With each exhale, breathe out with gratitude, a soft, conscious release of thanks to them. Inhale their legacy. Exhale your acknowledgement. Ask quietly in word, image, or feeling, what wisdom do you have for me now? What healing would you share? And then pause, stay with the silence, the imagery, the sensation, and whatever arises, a word, a feeling, a memory, to be received without judgment. Continue moving along. Maybe choose a different ancestor, a different friend, a different being, perhaps a different generation. And with each inhale, the gift they offer. And you exhale with gratitude. Allow the unseen gifts to be spoken, felt, or received. Now just shift your attention, your awareness to the cycle of endings and beginnings. And just as nature sheds and then renews, so do we. In this thinning veil season, consider what in my life is ready to be released, what is emergent, what is emerging, quietly behind what feels like an ending. Breathe in the readiness for transformation. Breathe out the willingness to let go. Feel the interplay of dark and light of what was and what is becoming. Invite in a quiet fear or belief to step into your awareness, not to be judged or pushed away, but to be met with compassion. And ask, what is this trying or wanting to show me? What change is possible if I face this? Allow yourself to sit in the tenderness of that question. Breathing softly, letting the ancestor support the earth's grounding, and your own heart's courage meet together. As we draw this meditation to a close, bring your hands over or once more to your heart. If they're not already there, let your awareness rest for a moment in your breath. Feel the rhythm of in and out, the life in your body, the continuity of your lineage, and the promise of what lies ahead. Say silently or loud, I thank all those who have helped shape me, helped to create me. I honor that divine wisdom. And when you're ready, gently bring awareness back to the room, the sounds around you, the surface you sit on, the energy of this gathering. Feel free to wiggle fingers and toes and begin to blink softly. And when you feel comfortable, feel free to open your eyes.
Beautiful, Jen. Just before we close out for today's conversation, I wanted to share one last poem with you. And it is titled, I Am My Ancestors, and it's by Teresa Stovall. I am my ancestors' wildest dream. They are the river fed by my stream, my mother the ocean, my father the flames. I offer love, praises, and thanks to their names. I am my ancestors' continuation. They conjured the magic of my creation, their names echoing in my braided soul, their spirits and journeys making me whole. I am the sequel to my ancestors' stories, carrying their grief, their grooves, and their glories, bearing the lessons they learned the hard way to enrich and empower all my DNA. I am but a link in my ancestors' chain, carrying the karma of their pleasures and pain, gleaning the wisdom of their whispered warnings, rising on their wings to greet my fresh mornings. I am the sum of my ancestors' choices, repping 3 continents, multiple voices, Black and Jewish and Blackfoot Siouxish, moving as one soul, both ancient and newish. I am my ancestors' woven reflection. At this identity intersection, roots run mighty deep and spread mighty wide, so none of their truths can be denied. I am my ancestors' legacy, honoring all that they bequeathed to me. Many peoples that have defied all oppression. To thrive against odds is our plan of secession. I am created by my ancestors' longing, wrapped in their loving embrace of belonging. Past, present, and future, we synthesize. Together we journey. Together we rise.
Thank you so much for sharing that poem, Mary Jane. Um, each time I hear it now, that we found it, I really, it just so resonates. And thank you, all of you, for joining us today. Please take a moment to connect with us during the week. We'd love to hear from you. Please share our groups, the LinkedIn Facebook group, um, Spirit-Born Imaginings, with anyone who you think might resonate with us and with the content and with this community. Also, feel free to share, like, and acknowledge, or, you know, give a shout out for the YouTube channel. We'd greatly appreciate it. And look out for our 4-part series. We're doing a 4-part workshop series, 2 Wednesdays in November and 2 Wednesdays in December with Darlene, which is going to be amazing, the 3 of us. And our next workshop together, Mary Jane and myself, is Sunday, December 7th at 2 p.m. It's our last workshop of the year, sadly enough, but don't worry, we'll be back for 2026. And we are actually looking at having you help us with that. We have a survey and we'd love for you to complete it just to ask you what you would like in the coming year. So as we create that content, we create it with you in mind and with what you need. So thank you all. And thank you all for being here. We love you.
Yes, thank you all for being here. Such a blessing to have you here. And thank you for bringing your loved ones, your ancestors, your lineage with you today in spirit. And we honor them and we honor you for being present here. Thank you.